I guess one thing I want to ask is, when is enough enough? I'm serious. When is enough for you to decide that you want more, if you're wanting more? I mean, the whole purpose of this life, because we only have one, is to make it the best that we can, right? I mean, if you're waking up and you're doing the 9 to 5, and all day long, you just feel like you're really contributing to something, you're making people's days better, you're making a difference. You never hardly ever have a day where it gets to you. You go home, maybe your spouse is happy to see you, you're happy to see them. You have a good, strong relationship. Your kids are happy, they're healthy, and you're very content with what you're giving out to the world and what the world is giving back. That's it. And if you're doing that on a 9 to 5, that's awesome. If you're content, if you found that inner peace, that's awesome. That's what we're about in this one life. But my message is to those who maybe you're sitting on the assembly line and you're just constantly putting something together, and I don't know, maybe your boss has been on you and on you and on you for something you haven't done, or maybe you're working somewhere where you have to answer the phones all the time and you're constantly getting rude people, and no matter how much you wish they'd just be nice, they're not. And and maybe you're doing a job where, I don't know, maybe you work for a state or federal agency and they can't pass a budget, and you're sitting here every day wondering, when am I going to get paid? When is this going to get taken care of? And it affects you. And instead of feeling like you've really contributed, you feel worn out. Maybe you feel tired. Maybe you just feel completely out of sync with where you want to go. When is enough enough? How many bolts are you going to put in on that assembly line? How many calls are you going to take? You see, I've always heard people growing up tell me, that's life. You go to work, you earn a living, and you die. I don't buy that. You don't go out and just take a job, just to take a job, just to live, just to have a family, just to die. And you don't have to have $1 million. Like I said, you can have a 9 to 5 and be contributive if you're doing something you're passionate about. I've had family that aren't here anymore that worked their whole lives doing something they hated, and it wasn't until I became an adult that they told me, God, I wish I could have done this, or I wish I could have done that. It's something that Speaker Tony Robbins says, it's called a rocking chair test. If you're 90 years old and you're sitting in your rocking chair and you're thinking back to all them days in that factory or in that company or in your little cubicle or whatever, and you think, I remember when I had that idea and I didn't do anything about it. Are you really going to believe that that's life then, when you can't do anything about it physically? And I had that experience myself, and I'll share this story with you. I left a job almost a year ago to take a job that allowed me to go to elementary schools and speak with children and read books to them that I've written. And I love doing that. And patience is a virtue, and I'm a big believer in just keep working at what I want. But the one thing with me is I go to my job, and I'm going to be honest, I could get real comfortable with my job, guys. I could get absolutely comfortable, like I did in my old job. Why? Because several things that we all get too comfortable for. One, the job pays me just enough to stay alive. And a lot of times we fall into the trap that if at least we're not going to die, then we're grateful for that. And being grateful is an amazing thing, and we should be grateful for everything. But we shouldn't allow it to make us comfortable. We should always be progressing. So if I got comfortable, I'd be no better off than where I was. But there are times that I go into work and I'm a positive person, okay? And I'm very driven. And I work with really great people. I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's part of what makes my job too easy to get comfortable with. I work with some really good people. But periodically, like we all do in our jobs, you run into situations where you run into someone that can't just let things go. You run into someone, or you run into a situation where so-and-so in another department said something, or so-and-so upstairs said something, or downstairs, or in the mailroom, or, and then you hear about it over and over and over and over. And it happens everywhere. Why? Because a lot of people aren't happy. And instead of fixing it themselves, they go on and on and on. And I go to my work, and I got to be honest, when these moments happen, I do something that, and this is a shameless plug, and I'm going to plug it because it absolutely helps me. A speaker out there, his name's Eric Thomas. He's called E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. When things around me get negative, where everybody gets down because something that wasn't their fault got brought to their attention as if it was, or somebody said something that, maybe hurt other people's feelings in our group or something, I put on my headset, I go to work because I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I get lost in motivational speeches. I get lost in Thank God It's Monday, which is a video series that he puts out. And all the while this stuff is playing, I'm sitting here in my head, and this is really important, I'm sitting here thinking, there's more than this. There is more than this. I don't want to be a janitor, and I'm not going to be a janitor for the rest of my life. But I got to get through this to get where I want to go. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get where I want to go. Just because you're on that factory line, just because you're answering those phone calls, always keep your mind in elevate mode. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to wear you out. But even though this stuff is happening around you, man, if you keep your mind in elevate mode, meaning you want to grow, and even if you're not physically able to do something right then, if your mind is still turning, the cogs are still going, you're still moving. Yeah, you got to work that factory. Work it. The minute you get off, do something about what you really want to do. I get off work, I make videos, I blog, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I've written 8 children's books, I travel, I do book signings, I do presentations, I have a column in a weekly newspaper. I just got done writing for my 3rd magazine that's supposed to be out in July. Keep going, man or gal. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. 2 years ago, if somebody would have told me, you're going to be making videos, Levi, I would have said, you're insane. Nobody's going to listen to me. Right then, strike 3, I'm out before I even get strike 1 or 2. But you know what? Just over 8 months ago, I decided I was going to do it. And you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks. Doesn't mean I don't have a heart, because I care about everybody. I don't have any bad feelings against anybody. But you have to have the mentality that you don't care. Somebody could quote me right now and say, you know what? You suck. I'll look right at it and say, you know what? I'll type back and I'll say, Thanks for your opinion. Thanks for watching. But I've got my own opinion, and it works for me. And I'm going to go on. And because I have one life, I'm going to be honest. I have 3 children, 3 amazing sons. And I want to show them how to not go through what I've had to get here. I want to empower my children with my legacy to get over the hump that I'm trying to get through now. Right now I'm a janitor. Stephen King was a janitor. J.K. Rowling was homeless. How can I sit here and look at things like that and say, it's just not meant for me? You know what? It is meant for me. I'm going to do it. And I don't need anybody's approval, neither do you. And you may say, yeah, but you know, the world's moving too fast. The world is moving fast, and it's going to move faster. And what you got to do is you got to go out there and you got to put in the effort. Because otherwise, you're never going to know. I come home from work today. I'll be honest. I don't ever talk about it in my other videos, but I'll tell you, I come home today and I literally walked in the door, shut the door behind me, took my shoes off, and I fell right on the bed. Every joint in my body ached. 10 minutes, I opened my eyes and I said, body, we ain't doing this. So now I'm here. When I get done with this video, I'm going to write my column for the newspaper. Because nothing's going to get done laying on this bed that I'm looking at now. Get off your bed. You've got just as much potential as I do. And the thing is, we have all got a lot of potential. And when is enough enough? Don't wait until you're so burnt out that you have no job. Now's the time to make it happen. If I told you every day you had $86,400 to spend, and how you spent them was up to you. But at the end of the day, you lost what you didn't spend. And once you spent it, you could never get it back. You'd probably be really careful about what you spent your $86,400 on, wouldn't you? You're getting that every day for real. You're getting it in the form of 86,400 seconds in a day. And how you use those 86,400 seconds determines what kind of day you're going to have. And then your collection of days determine how your week's going to be. Collection of weeks turn into your months, and then they turn into your years. And they turn into decades, and then those decades come to completion and what's known as the end of life. You know, you look at people like Tony Robbins, you look at Steve Harvey. I mean, and those are people who you might look at it and say, God, they got an easy life. They learned how to use their 86,400 a day. I ran into somebody about a week ago and they said, man, I heard that they had heard that I'm doing well with my writing. And I said, yeah. And I said, I'm hoping I'm not going to have this job much longer. My goal is within a year that I'm going to be traveling and I'm going to be booking presentations and I'm going to be speaking to kids and motivating kids and putting my books out there, and we're going to take this off. I said, but it hasn't been easy. And even though it's not easy. I ache, I hurt, I have headaches a lot. Who doesn't? But to wrap this up, when is enough enough? I mean, seriously, when is it enough? I had enough a year ago, and I've had the biggest year of change in my life. So can you. See you later.